Professor Menon, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste, Jai Johar, very good evening to all of you. Don't you think it's rather odd to inaugurate a workshop which began 3.5 hours ago? I think I owe some explanation here. Today was a working day, and I just couldn't leave the court. The other option is to just decline the request. I met Professor Menon more than a decade ago. He was a director at National Judicial Academy, Bhopal. This was my first visit to Bhopal, and I was there. The topic of the workshop was the role of judicial academies there. I heard a lot about Professor Menon, his reputation, but never met him. The fact that I went there, I really wanted to judge him. Does he really stand up to the reputation that he has, that he carries? I met him there. In him, I found a person who's excellent communicator, a good administrator, and who has a very clear understanding of law. I've been there a number of occasions on different aspects of law, and every time Professor Menon would sum up, he would do better than any expert available there. In fact, I found that he was much better than the reputation that he carries. How do you decline an request by such a person? I just couldn't say no. But this was not the only reason why I came, why I did not decline it. When I was reading the brochure, I realized this is going to be attended by professors, the dean of the law faculties, the high government officials, the social activists, and I never wanted to miss the opportunity to meet such an elite gathering. So here am I, 4 hours late to inaugurate your workshop. Chhattisgarh is a rural state. More than 80% population lives in villages. Scheduled tribes dominates here. They form more than the 10% of the total population of scheduled caste in our country. Scheduled tribes and scheduled caste together, they are more than 50% population of the state. Scheduled tribes are in fact, basically they are the forest dwellers, and 44%, don't write anything, listen to me. When I speak, I make it a point, you could do only 2 things. You can make a cartoon of me, because there's no life without fun. Or you can write a letter to your boyfriend, you're welcome to it. Because love is more important than what I speak. Whatever I'm speaking, I've already sent a copy of my talk here, which is there, Professor Menon. He will circulate to you. You will get everything what I'm speaking in a much better form. Listen to me. And there's another good thing you can do. You can go off to sleep also, provided you don't snore. Because if you snore, you're going to wake up the person sleeping next to you. So Joy, take it easy. Oh, where was I? Yes. I was talking about Chhattisgarh, but 44% of Chhattisgarh area is covered by forest. Chhattisgarh is rich in natural resources. It's a developing state. Nonetheless, it's a state is full of poverty. The incidence of poverty is twice the national average. It's only better than Orissa and Bihar. Rest of places, below this. With these factors in background, in which state, except the state of Chhattisgarh, can a workshop to see the legal needs of rural community in general and tribal community in particular can be here. The resident of which state will benefit more than the state of Chhattisgarh from this kind of a workshop? And I'm very happy that this workshop is being organized in Chhattisgarh. It gives me an immense pleasure to inaugurate it. In the next 3 days, we are going to discuss diverse topics. It's mentioned in your program. You're going to discuss what kind of a LLB curriculum should be there. In that process, you're also going to discuss what kind of a legal aid is to be given to these communities. You're also going to discuss what kind of training is to be given to your paralegals. Now, here, I have some suggestions. Please do consider. Part 10 of the Constitution is titled The Schedule in Tribal Areas. It has 2 articles, 244, 244A. 244A is subsidiary, 244 is the main article. Clause 2 of 244 says tribal areas in the state of Assam, Mizoram, Meghalaya and Tripura are to be dealt with in accordance with 6 schedules. Clause 1 of Article 244 says that in the rest of the areas, scheduled areas, that's basically where the scheduled caste people live, they are to be governed in accordance with 5th schedule. The philosophy behind chapter part 10, schedule 5 and schedule 6 is to take out the scheduled area and the tribal area outside from the general operation of the general laws. Now, when this was being done, this was many framers or the many members of the Constituent Assembly objected to it. Why should you deprive the scheduled tribe for getting into the mainstream of the nation? Now, this was answered by K. Munshi saying, let me quote his words. The Advocacies are tribes of many in number. They belong to different ethnic, religious, and social groups. The drafting committee wanted the scheduled tribes in the whole country should be protected from destructive impact of races possessing a higher and aggressive culture and should be encouraged to develop their own autonomous life. At the same time, to take a larger part in life of the country adopted. They should not be isolated communities or little republics to be perpetuated forever. Object is to maintain them as unconnected communities which might develop into different groups from the rest of the country. And these tribes should be absorbed in the national life of the country. 60 years have passed. The dreams of the founding father has not been fulfilled. In order to fulfill those dreams, it is not necessary only to study or have a proper understanding of Part 10, Schedule 5 and Schedule 6. It's also necessary to look into some other aspects of law. Let me briefly tell you the other aspect which should also be considered. 1. Customary law. Hindu Code Bill came sometime in mid-50s and basically it introduced 4 acts. Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Minority and Guardianship Act, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance. Now, Hindu law is all pervading. These acts are all pervading. They apply to everybody, irrespective of your faith, provided you are not a Muslim, Christian, Jew, or Parsi. Even if you are not Hindu, but if you are not Christian, not Muslim, not Jew, not Parsi, you are governed by Hindu. However, subsection 4 of this section 2, which sort of makes application there, states that these enactments do not apply to scheduled tribes unless there is a notification by the president. There is no such notification. So the scheduled tribes in our country are not governed by Hindu law. They are governed by their own custom. Nonetheless, a customary law cannot promote undesirable social practices. So different states, like the state of Chhattisgarh, had made a law which is known as Chhattisgarh Toni Atyachar Nivaran Adhiniyam. यहाँ पे टोनी बहुत चलता है. I keep on here. I sit on a criminal side and I keep on getting away. And generally, it's the ladies who are the victim. I mean, they are the one who do the witchcraft. I mean, this was always there traditionally that in England also and everywhere, it's the women who gets all the beating every time. And they are normal. The murders take place in the state of Chhattisgarh because they think that this lady is doing. It would be a very good idea to actually lay down what are these customs of the different tribes, and also lay down the different kind of statutes which have been enacted to discourage these kinds of practices. That's aspect number 1. 2. Pesa. Article 40 is in chapter 4. This is part 4 of the Constitution. That's a directive principle that can't be enforced. Nonetheless, Article 40 requires state to organize village panchayats and endow them with the powers so that they can become a unit of self-government. Part 9 to the Constitution has been added in pursuance of, in compliance of Article 40 of the Constitution. Part 9 is titled as Panchayats. Now it gives a lot of power. But Article 243M specifically provides that this Part 9 does not apply to scheduled area or tribal area. In fact, if you look into this word scheduled area and tribal area, scheduled area is a word which is used in part 5, in schedule 5, and in the 5th schedule, what it has done is that it has given all powers to the governor. He has all the legislative power, all the control over the scheduled area. That's the area where normally the scheduled tribe live. And governor actually manages this not on the advice of the cabinet, but on the advice of something which is known as Tribal Advisory Council. And tribal area is a word which is used in 6th schedule. And 6th schedule is governed by, is controlled and managed by the autonomous districts and autonomous regions. Part 9, which provides for panchayats, gives a lot of power to panchayats, does not apply to schedule. 243, clause 4 of 243M also provides that Parliament may by law may apply Part 9 to scheduled area also, with such exceptions and modification as the Parliament may think proper. And this will not require a constitutional amendment. That is to say, if the Parliament makes such a law, it is not an ordinary law by the Parliament. It is the same status as that of the Constitution. Part 9 was added in 1992 or 1993 by 73rd Constitutional Amendment. Parliament enacted an act known as Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas Act 1996. It requires all the states to amend their own laws and to make it in conformity with Part 9, subject to the modification mentioned in Section 4 of PESA. Section 4 of PESA is very, very important. it gives tremendous powers to the Gaon Sabha and Panchayats in the scheduled area, much more than the powers given to ordinary Gaon Sabha and Panchayat. No land in scheduled area can be acquired without approval of Gaon Sabha or Panchayat. The Gaon Sabha or Panchayat, they become the owners of the minor forest produce. No mining lease or prospecting lease in the scheduled area can be granted for minor minerals except there. All the states have amended their laws. But it's a big question mark whether those laws are in conformity with Section 4 of PESA. I don't wish to say anything else because there is a decision of a division bench of a Madras MP High Court taking the view that the law made is in conformity with the Section 4 of the PESA. Not exactly Section 4, they didn't go into this question in Narmada Bachao case. That is a very doubtful case in Chhattisgarh, whether such a law is in conformity with Section 4 or not. So the second area which I think requires some kind of attention from your side is whether the laws which have been made by the state are in conformity with Section 4 of the PESA or not. And PESA itself, along with the consistent laws, are enforced, implemented properly. Because they give tremendous power, which the powers which we do not normally imagine to them. But they can manage their own markets, they manage their own money lending, they can do many things. That's two areas I've spoken about. 3. Biological Diversity Act. Scheduled tribes are basically forest dwellers. Forest produce is the main source of livelihood. This actually depends on biological diversity. Now, in 1992, United Nations sponsored a conference in Rio, Brazil on biological diversity. We are signatory to that conference. In pursuance of that convention, we have enacted an act known as Biological Diversity Act 2002. Now, this act basically tries to preserves biological diversity, and the best thing it does it ensures fair and equitable distribution of the profits arising from it. I had occasion to speak something about it in the National Judicial Academy about some years ago, but 2006, 2007, nothing was done in this act. No act has taken this act seriously. No state has taken this act seriously. Nothing has been done in this act. It's a very, very powerful act. And if we do it properly, probably a lot of benefits can be given to where they are. And this is also an aspect which should be studied. 4. Forest Rights Act. Like I said, scheduled tribes are traditionally forest dwellers. Apart from scheduled tribes, there were other tribes, there were other castes also which were traditionally forest dwellers. Now historically, during the colonial rule or the independent India, no rights whatsoever were given to these people. They were denied their rights. Ultimately, Parliament in the year 2006 enacted an act known as Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006. This is a Forest Rights Act. Now, this is a very, very powerful act. It provides giving rights to these traditional dwellers in forest area, recording their name, provides a framework how the rights to be recorded, and it also preserves the forest ecosystem, ensuring the livelihood to the forest dwellers. I get this magazine, which I like it very much, and actually I would say I'm the founder, subscriber of this magazine, Down to Earth. I don't know whether university get it. Your university gets it?
Yes.
Law department?
Yes.
Law department.
Like this.
Let me ask the students. Let me ask the students, have they ever seen it or not? It's not a matter whether you get it or not, whether they ever see it. It's a very good magazine, and it's a magazine which I would say that every university should subscribe. And perhaps it's a very good magazine, not only for the, it's about environment, basically talks about soil, earth, and something to do with life sciences. But I would suggest, I read it because of my law thing is to be there. It's a very good magazine, and I recommend it very strongly. Now, this is the November 1 to 15, 2013 issue. Now, there is a report in this particular issue about enforcement of Forest Rights Act in different parts of the country. And let me say what it says. I'll just read the report. This is written by some of the students. Over 1.3 million tribals and forest dwellers have got rights over the land they had been using for years under the Forest Rights Act. This can, in some way, be called contemporary India's largest land regime change, from the Forest Administration to rightful owners of the forest land. The Act promises another boundary, access to government schemes. Then the important part of the report. This is what on paper. But 6 years after the Act was enforced, lives of forest dwellers have not changed much. Not one state has initiated concrete steps to officially register the title holders in the state land records. Without this, they remain what they used to be, officially non-existent. If you read this article, when I read it, it says something was done and the last election was there. Something will be done this year also, because elections are very close by. Everybody wants a vote. BJP wants a vote. Congress wants a vote. A party doesn't want to vote of scheduled tribes, so they are not bothered. But everybody wants a vote. So something will be done this year, and again it will be forgotten. Now, this act is also a very, very powerful act. This should also not only be studied. That's I see our director of the legal aid one. I would be very happy if some kind of a workshop is also organized for training in the legal aid in this particular area. Paralegals would be trained in this particular act, how to get it recorded, how to help them to get their rights, and that will improve the situation of scheduled tribes. Fifth, I've spoken about 4. Fifth and the last one. Conflict with environmentalists and foresters. Now, environmentalists and the forest department, they don't like these forest dwellers. According to them, they are actually destroying the natural habitat of the jungles, of the animals. According to them, it's harming the wildlife. They should be evicted immediately. The forest dwellers say, according to them, no, it's not true. We are very necessary for the ecosystem of the forest ecosystem. We actually help. Now, I don't wish to take sides in this debate, who is right and who is wrong, because I am not really competent to take sides. I can't decide. This is something not in my realm. This is in the realm of some other. But I wish some more talks are done about it. Something more emphasis is given to this particular topic, and this debate should be settled, should be harmonized. In next 3 days, when you discuss them, you discuss about these 5 topics also, and see if they can be implemented or not. With these words, I wish this workshop to be a great success. I hope you all are alternative curriculum and you come come across something very concrete which will